Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Leisrealtalk. Happy Saturday. Uh, I had a delayed start because I was trying to figure out how to turn off slow mode. All right. I hope everyone's weekend is great so far. Yeah. Good Saturdays or good. Some of you are already Sunday, right? So, okay. Mine was good. I worked really hard today to prepare for this live stream, and I made a parody. I made a Lay's Real Talk Saturday Night Live parody. So hopefully uh, you enjoy that. It's my first attempt using AI. Let's see. So the APEC 2023 is over, and it was Xi Jinping's first visit to the US. Well, actually, it's his first visit to a major Western country after the pandemic, and it's his first visit to the US in 6 years. There were so much expectations about the Biden-Xi meeting. Well, I think the meeting didn't produce much newsworthy um, events or headlines, but his visit was eventful. So I'll talk about things that really went on. First, I'll talk about that's very brief. Briefly, I'll talk about how Beijing went out of its way to hire welcomers and why this may cause embarrassment to the regime. And then I will talk about the biggest news from the event, which is that Biden calling Xi a dictator and how Xi Jinping would have reacted to that. Last but not least, we'll talk about the business community's reaction. Elon Musk from Tesla, and then also Blackstone's plan in China. All right, so let's first talk about, I mentioned this to you, I think it was last week, about how before Xi Jinping's arrival, and they rent the entire St. Regis Hotel in San Francisco. The parking garage was draped in white cloth. And here's the picture. Hold on, where did the picture go? Here we go. So here's the picture. This is St. Regis Hotel, draped in white cloth, and people are saying, color white is the color of mourning in China. It's the color used for funerals in China, white and black. And so anything that's white and black, and here you have a car, a limousine, covered up in black cloth, coming out of that white cloth draped, whatever you call that, building. And people saying, well, what is this? Are they planning for a funeral? That became like a major news within the Chinese media or social media. I know the mainstream media didn't talk about this. And then obviously this was before Xi Jinping's arrival, and they took notice. So they changed it. They cover up the white cloth with blue, I think with blue tarp, and it looks even worse. So this is what it looks like. Okay. Now, Xi Jinping is very superstitious, and this wasn't a good start, right? So, and I think this blue covered, or I don't know, this just looks so out of place. Come on, you're doing this to a 5-star hotel in downtown San Francisco. It just looks very out of place. All right, now let's talk about, since I mentioned it, I want to show you the pictures. Now let's talk about the scandal-ridden welcomers. Well, CCP consulate or the embassy certainly have been mobilizing Chinese students and Chinese Americans from all over the country to bus and fly them in to welcome Xi Jinping. People were paid from $100 to $400. I think some were paid like $100 a day. Some were paid like $200 a day. The rates vary. But basically, people flew to San Francisco from as far as New York. And their hotel and, air and lodging were covered by the CCP. And I heard that they budgeted $1,000 for each person, and if you do the math, they have at least 1,000 people showed up for the welcoming event. So that's $1 million easy, right? Just on the welcome, and this does not include other costs like securities and other stuff. But people weren't equally treated. Some got more money than others, and some got free food, and some didn't. And this made people upset because they were not treated equally. And I think this has to do with the organizers pocketing some of the money they got from the embassy. Um, so some of the disgruntled welcomers got upset because they only got a fraction of what others got. So they threatened that they would walk to the other side of the street, which were the protesters. They say that if you don't give us good amount of money, then we will walk to the other side of the street to join the protesters. At least they get to say whatever they want. I think for the students, for the Chinese students, the organizer threatened them, saying that if you do, then well, we know who you are, and after graduation, when you go back to China, you'll be in trouble. So that kind of activities were going on. But even with such lucrative offers, the CCP had a hard time recruiting quality people because every time they use money to hire people, they usually get the elderly people or the students to go because people who work, they wouldn't be taking time off, right, to do that. I mean, for the money, it's usually the students and the elderly. Now, this year, they tried to hire some pretty faces for the visuals of their propaganda. So the biggest scandal we hear now, um, it was that street girls from Flushing, New York, were hired to join the welcoming crowds in San Francisco, and they were paid $200 a day plus travel and lodging. So this video clip, let me show you the video clip, and let me make this bigger. How do I do that? Here we go. Okay, so this was this person posting on X, and so here you have this video. I don't know. So this video supposedly, can you hear the audio? Let me, this is loud. This is so it was said that this particular clip was major news that the Chinese media, he said, like Xinhua News, CCTV News, they all promoted this piece, and somebody. Chinese netizens and also some people living in Flushing recognized these 6 women's faces, and they said that these were street girls from Flushing. And anyways, let me come back. Let me get rid of that. There. How do I go back? Here we go. Okay. All right, let me come back. So, yeah, that shocked, and this news went inside China. So the mainland Chinese were shocked to find out that prostitutes were hired as welcomers to welcome Xi Jinping. I don't know if this claim is true. We'll have to wait and see people confirming the info. But I do know that the Chinese consulate usually hire only elderly people, right, to do this kind of welcoming event, because they don't have a job, so they're more likely to go. But I don't know how many elderly people were able to fly to San Francisco. And if they're older, the organizers probably don't want to have that liability. And also they say that the organizers specifically want to have some young people. So I'm not surprised. And they want to have some pretty faces. I don't know if these women look pretty, but I think this just shows you how desperate they are trying to get people to San Francisco. You've seen mainstream media also reported on, the red flags adorning the streets of San Francisco. All right, so that's, I think, quite something. Now let's talk about the Biden administration. Okay, how they have handled the Xi's visit. So one of the conditions that the Chinese required for this meeting was that Joe Biden must personally welcome Xi at the entrance and that he must smile. Well, I think Biden did smile, and he not only came to the entrance of the estate to welcome Xi, but also walked him to his car at the end. And they even have a small chit chat about Xi's red flag, his limousine compared to Biden's beast. And that video has, gone viral. So you probably have already seen that. But despite that, there were at least two events at APEC that made Xi Jinping lose face. And the first one has to do with his position in the APEC leaders group picture. So let me show you. So here are the students. These are students holding China Daily in their hands. These are all students. These pictures were taken by China Daily, Chinese state media reporters in San Francisco. These they claim were all students from the area. And this was the post about CCTV Xinhua using street girls in their footage to welcome Xi Jinping. So that's the post. So here's Joe Biden welcoming Xi at the entrance. And was that a smile? That was a bitter smile. We Chinese would say 苦笑, a bitter smile. But anyways, okay. So what got Xi Jinping upset was this. So these were the pictures showing the heads of state taking group photos before the San Francisco one. So this one was in 2018, right? And I highlighted where Xi was. So he was, in the center. And here you have him in Vietnam. He's also, in the relative center. He's never on the far end. So again, relatively in the center. There are four people next to him on the side. This one was 2018. Again, here you have Mike Pence, U.S. Vice President. On the other side, next to Japan's Shinzo Abe. Where's the U.S. president? You have Obama on the other side of Xi Jinping. I don't know. Maybe let me make this bigger. Right, you have Obama. So let me see. This one, you have Donald Trump next to Vietnam's first lady, and Xi Jinping in the front. And see, Putin is also in the front. So every host country pick a different rule for determining the precedence of this group photo. I mean, there are just different rules. And so this was in 2018. Mike Pence. This was I don't know what year this was, but you have Obama. This was 2015, I think. You have Obama in the front row. Canada, Justin Trudeau is always in that spot for some reason. He's always in the corner our far left. But this year, take a look at this photo. Okay, so you have Joe Biden in the center. He's not the dead center, but to his left and right were the hosts of the next APEC meeting and also the host of the previous APEC meeting. So that's just the past and the future host of APEC meeting. And then they went alphabetically. So you start with Australia, right? On the man who to the right of the lady wearing pink. And then you have who's the other person? Who's the other person to the right? I think that was which countries start with B with a B? Is it? Oh, Brunei. Brunei, yes. So on the right hand side is Brunei, and then you have Canada, and you have Chile, and then you have China, and then after China, it's Korea, and then it's Japan. So it's U.S. Followed this president's rule that's alphabetic, and so that put Xi Jinping on the far left. But he's not used to on the left, and I'm sure he's not happy because you can tell by the by China Daily's coverage. They cut the picture. They only showed him. They still show him in the center, but only show Japan and Canada. I mean, Justin Trudeau and Fumio Kishida, on his sides. So this shows that he was not happy, or his people were not happy about where he was in that group picture. Well, the second event was Joe Biden calling Xi a dictator again. And you've seen the viral video showing Anthony Blinken looking distressed when he heard Biden's comments. Well, I think Xi Jinping must be upset. That evening, he hosted a dinner with hundreds of CCP's old and new friends. The business leaders paid $40,000 to have a seat at his table. It was said that she prepared 3 speeches and picked the one people say that's the most friendly. I think nobody told him about Joe Biden's. I think nobody told him that Joe Biden described him as a dictator before the banquet. I think nobody dared at that moment, so because it happened on the same day, right? So they met, and then Joe Biden held the press conference, and then she went to his dinner. So I don't think he knew. So he picked they prepared 3 speeches for him, and he picked the most friendly one. Now, a Chinese historian and a scholar who now lives in the US, he's also a dissident. He's also a political dissident. And he's active on X. He wrote an impromptu speech for Xi. He used his imagination and just wrote a script for Xi. And I found it very, very funny and insightful. It's indeed a speech Xi Jinping would give if he could speak freely with the Americans. In real life, we know he can. So I modified and shortened Mr. Wu's script with some of my tweaks here and there, just to make, and I translated into English. I adapted into an English parody using AI. So next, you'll hear Xi Jinping given an impromptu speech in English. I asked my editor to let Xi Jinping's AI voice to speak with an accent, and he added a French accent. So now, I don't know, maybe the AI is not trained to speak English with a Chinese accent yet. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let me present you Xi Jinping's off-script speech in English with a French accent in San Francisco when he really spoke his mind. All right, so let me play that video. It's 7 minutes long. So what happened?
They prepare a speech for.
Oh, hold on. Let me start from the very beginning.
Thank you. They prepare a speech for me, and you may find it boring. Let me go off script and speak candidly. You'll always read the official speech later. By the way, is Gavin Newsom here? Where is he? Still working. There are many protesters all the way here. He promised me in Beijing that he would clear the area for me. You see, this is your American democracy. If you had earmarked funds for Newsom to King of San Francisco, the homeless people would outnumber the welcomers and protesters. San Francisco would be in total chaos. The governor had to personally help maintain order for this international conference, and it's still out of control. I must say, your democracy lacks efficiency. This morning, President Biden asked why my wife didn't come this time. I said, she's afraid of having her handbag snatched by a homeless. Biden laughed. See, a lot of old and new friends here today. Thank you for coming. In China, we always pay for dinner to invite friends over. We make friends this way without concern about cost. It's our Chinese hospitality. I decided to come to San Francisco and hold this dinner, and some of the business leaders were asked to pay some money to attend. I heard that's common in San Francisco. I was told Warren Buffett dinner was auctioned off for millions of dollars. In comparison, my dinner comes at wholesale price. It's a bargain. It's our first try, and it appears to be very successful. The money you paid is well spent. We will certainly remember your names. When you come to China to do business and run into problems, we will take care of things for you. Those who don't attend today should better not think about going to China. If you don't help save President Xi's face, don't expect to be promoted or make money in China. Okay, it's just a joke. As long as you closely follow the Communist Party, there is no economic or political risk in China. Today, President Biden and I talked for more than 4 hours and reached two consensuses. One is the militaries of our two countries will establish contact to avoid misunderstandings and accidental fire. The other is to control the inflow of fentanyl into the US. But these two issues, in my opinion, aren't of any importance. What's the point of your military talking to my military? What can they talk about? The authority to decide on war rests with me. As for fentanyl, your president should control the American people to not take it, and the problem would be solved. We reached consensus on these two issues, which made your president so happy that he declared the meeting a success. I think he wants to be president for another 4 years and wants my help. In fact, there are easier ways to do it. We can just print a bunch of ballots, fly them in, and drop them into the ballot boxes in the dead of night. 1 million ballots at a wholesale price of $10,000. Okay, I'm joking again. This afternoon, Biden called me a dictator. I think he is envious of me. He wants to be one, but can't. Chinese dictatorship is not the same as dictatorship in the West, just like Chinese democracy isn't the same as democracy in the West. Ours is a democracy with Chinese characteristics, and the entire process is well controlled. Unlike democracy in the West, our democracy won't cause unrest. We now use big data, and our democracy has been scientifically data-driven. I told Biden that his government is in no position to vilify ours. Historians tell me that throughout Chinese history, the longer the emperor ruled, the more stable the country was. From our perspective, Biden and his vice presidents are temporary workers. We communists serve the party and the people for life. Great nations cannot be run by temp workers. Why do Americans take fentanyl but Chinese don't? Because Americans aren't happy with their life. Biden should do something about that before telling us what to do. As a communist, I don't hide my point of view. That is, we want to challenge the American world order and compete with the United States. This is because your democracy is riddled with problems. How do you expect us to copy you? If you go on like this, we will, sooner or later, be the one who maintains world order. The Taiwan issue will be solved, and the solution is in our hands. Biden talked to me about Iran and the Palestinian and Israeli conflict and asked me to step in and do something about it. I told him to look dialectically at the current conflicts. Russia, Iran, Hamas have all shown their swords. And if the situation gets out of control, we, China, will have to step in. Then I'll have to tell the US to leave Taiwan alone and do not intervene. And if these international anti-American forces fail, especially if Russia fails, then the world is at peace. We will then sit down with the United States and talk about peace and business. Biden said he doesn't understand dialectics. I said, why not study it first before we talk about consensus? To be honest with you, dreaded coming to San Francisco, but Biden wanted me to come. In my opinion, what can be solved between us could be solved by a single phone call. What can't be solved won't be solved even if we are in the same room. But I came, and Biden called me a dictator. I'm going to say this to you. Our Politburo Standing Committee makes decisions democratically. I asked my standing committee members if I should go meet with Joe Biden. There were 7 of us. 6 remained very quiet. No one offered any opinion. I asked Li Jiang for his opinion. He hesitated for a long time and said, "It would certainly be great if you can go, but please be safe. The United States is in a mess." Yes, said Xi. He stood up. He didn't know why he was so excited. He said that if I must go, he was willing to go with me to keep me safe. I could see that they all wanted me to go. They just didn't dare say it for fear of upsetting me. They are different from our former premier who always expressed his views and sometimes upset me. But I tolerated and kept him on for 10 years. I'm not a dictator. Oh, that's Gavin Newsom. Finally, he made it. You've worked hard. Okay, I've talked a lot. Last but not least, I'd like to invite my old and new friends here in the audience to visit China. There is a huge market there, and the door to China won't be closed. I'm counting on you to make a difference in Sino's relations. I'd like to propose a toast to the great friendship between our people and the future of our countries. Cheers.
Okay. All right, let me get rid of this. How do I get rid of this? Remove. Okay. All right. Well, he's actually the script was actually much longer than that, and I just took part of it. So that's my Saturday night parody. Something new. Now let's talk about Blackstone. Blackstone's Steve Schwarzman and Elon Musk. Steve Schwarzman, like dozens of other business executives, paid $40,000 and got a seat at Xi Jinping's head table, which looked like this. Do I have? Yeah, I do have a picture. This is the banquet, and this is the head table. I think I think sitting there, I don't know how many people look like. They're like, what, 40 people? At least 40 people at this table. So you can't even talk to Xi Jinping, right? You don't even see him. So, but anyways, that's what it looks like. But he was there. Do I have a picture of him? There you go. What was I gonna say? Oh, a Chinese media reported that on November 16th, Blackstone is selling off its 11 logistics parks in China and has already got potential buyers. Let me come back, make them smaller. These assets have a price of more than 10 billion renminbi, which is about $1.5 billion. And the largest of them is the Longlands Guangzhou Airport Logistics Park. And public information shows that Blackstone acquired this asset from China Fortune Real Estate for a total price of 8.2 billion RMB in December 2021. 8.2 billion is what? A little more than $1 billion. And that's they bought it in December 2021. So in less than 2 years, Blackstone is selling these assets. So, but the fast in and fast out strategy doesn't go well with the business of logistics parks, which are usually long-term investments. So the Chinese are saying that Blackstone is concerned, is obviously selling this with some concern. I mean, they don't talk about what they're concerned about, but this is a very unusual transaction from the Chinese perspective. And people outside China say that it's probably because Schwarzman and Blackstone is concerned with China's real estate crisis and also the current geopolitical situation, and they want to get out of the market. So this goes back to the dinner that Xi Jinping hosted. Many people believe that the real reason that these many multinational or the CEOs and chairmen of these multinational companies went to the dinner was precisely for establish an understanding or a relation with the Chinese so that they can get their investments out of China. So right now, the bottleneck, the main issue is American investments, or Americans can't get their money out of China, cannot get their investments out of China. And that's why these business leaders were there, trying to establish that understanding with Xi Jinping and his team. So people expect the exodus of foreign capital from China will accelerate after this Biden-Xi meeting. Now, another person who was at the banquet was Elon Musk. He came for the VIP reception but didn't stay for dinner. A Chinese reporter caught him on camera and asked him 2 questions on site. I haven't got a chance to verify this clip. It looked like, I mean, the interview, it looks real, and it looked real, and it did happen at an event where Xi Jinping was present. So I think 98% it's true, but with anything that I see, I usually like to verify that, but I haven't got the time. But I think this clip is interesting. When the reporter asked Elon Musk these questions, his response, his hesitation is very interesting. So I think I want to share that. All right, let me see how do I play that again. Let me get rid of this, and then, okay, I think I need to present, share screen. Here we go. Oh, this is the one. Okay. Share. All right. So here's the video. Let me turn on the audio for you. Oh, how do I do that?
Mr. Musk.
Okay. Here we go. Start from the very beginning. It's a little blurry.
Mr. Musk, how would you further work with China?
Very happy with our progress in China. It's going very well.
What are your expectations for China-U.S. relations next?
I hope for the best. I hope China and the United States can work together for mutual prosperity of the world.
What would you like to say to the president tonight?
I'm looking forward to meeting. We met once briefly. I look forward to meeting again.
Okay, I think Elon Musk was saying these things without meaning it. And then the reporter.
How would you further work with China?
Very happy with our progress in China. It's going very well.
What are your expectations for China-U.S. relations next?
I think this reporter, people say this reporter is trying to make herself like, like she wants to make sure that she's in the frame. She kept looking at the camera when she should be looking at her interviewee. But
I hope for the best. I hope China and the United States can work together for mutual prosperity of the world.
What would you like to say to the president tonight?
I'm looking forward to meeting. We met once briefly. I look forward to meeting again.
All right. Okay. I don't think he meant what he said. Anyways, I thought that was quite funny. Let me get rid of that and return. Okay. All right. So, okay. So I talked about Blackstone and I talked about Elon Musk. So now after Xi Jinping returned to China, he has an X account, right? It's called Xi's Moment. Before that, I want to say that on the last day of APEC, Xi missed a previously scheduled speech at the CEO's meeting. And where is that? Okay, here we go. Let's go back. So at the CEO's summit, it's the CEO's summit. Xi was supposed to deliver a speech, but he did not show up. This is the second time he did not personally show up for a speech that he promised. The first time was in South Africa. So people were trying to figure out why. But Biden showed up and gave a very important speech and made sure that regional partners, basically he delivered the speech that basically saying that the U.S. is committed to its neighbors in the region. But anyways, Xi missed this speech. So people were saying, well, was that because he again feared for his security, or that he was upset with how he was treated in San Francisco. He was called, or maybe he did not want to see Biden again when Biden called him a dictator. Maybe he wanted to avoid Biden. But anyway, he only sent a lengthy written speech for the CEO's summit. And after he returned to China, his X account posted some social media pictures from his San Francisco trip. And let me show you. Yeah, he posted these 4 pictures. This is after he returned to China. And 3 of the 4 were with Joe Biden. And I think this one picture, this picture summarized the entire trip. Did you guys find something weird about this picture? Did you see anything wrong with this picture? There's even a video that shows the 2 of them walking in the garden of that estate. What's wrong with this picture and the video is that there was no translator with them. So how were the 2 guys communicating with each other? Right? I mean, Biden doesn't speak Chinese, and Xi Jinping's understanding of English is very limited, very, very limited. So how the 2 were communicating? They couldn't. So, I mean, other world leaders, when they spend time, walking the garden, I mean, they will make the best use of time to connect, to, do small talks, or even try to negotiate a little bit, right? I mean, those are really the most precious times in diplomacy, when the leaders are alone, and they could talk, they could do deals. But these 2 obviously don't care, because they couldn't even communicate. So I think this photo summarized the entire event, because the entire event was only a photo op with no substance, right? So the 2 leaders made an effort to put on a great show. It was just a photo op. Military talks with China isn't it? Like that parody video I showed. Military talks with China isn't going to do much, as the CCP won't tell you anything. They're not going to review anything. Because they're unlike any other organizations or regimes. They are not going to tell you anything of value to you. So don't expect them to give you anything meaningful. And they may even use this talk to manipulate you, right? As for fentanyl, the CCP already agreed to control fentanyl's inflow during the Trump administration. That's a couple of years ago. But did they do anything? No, they did not. And then the Biden administration still has to bargain with that again. So why should the Biden administration believe that that the CCP will do something this time? So I think those 2 consensus really don't really give the Americans anything substantial either. And I think after a very brief period of relative peace, I think Sino-U.S. relations will go downhill from here. Now, Xi's visit was met with the largest protests ever that we've seen. There was a guy who dressed up as an emperor who got famous, and he is one of he and his family of 6 recently came into the United States through I think crossing the border. And then he got into a brawl with the pro-CCP welcomers, and they got into an ugly fight. So this guy is now famous. But I saw today that there were about 40 protesters who were hurt over the 3-day period, and some were brutally attacked. And one person was sent to the emergency room and is in serious condition. The pictures were gruesome, and I can't share that here. Some people have suspected that CCP's security or paramilitary personnel were mixed in among the welcomers, and they were the ones who violently beat up the protesters. So here I'd like to urge the US government, and particularly the California government, to investigate into these beatings. And we shouldn't allow Chinese military personnel or security personnel beating US citizens in America, period. So I think that's my ending note. So, okay, so that's all for tonight. I hope you enjoy the program. And let me see if people have questions for me. So what do you think of that, that video? How did the AI do? Let me get rid of this. How did the AI do? All right, let me see. Let me first answer the super questions. All right, let's see. Sir Humphrey, thank you, sir. Have a great live stream, Lei. Unfortunately, I can only watch this later. Well, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the support. A star, thank you for using your voice to make a difference in the world. Oh, thank you so much for the encouragement and the heart and the donation. All right, let's see. Jeff Ramos, in the APEC 2023 photo, from our perspective, Xi is going towards the left year after year. Going towards the left year after year. What does that mean? The left year after year? Am I missing something? Is that an idiomatic expression that Lei doesn't know? Okay, all right. Well, there are a lot of conversations here. Jeff Ramos, please, Lei, post a short, any short from the AI generated video. Oh, you love that. You loved it, don't you? Okay, all right. Okay. Well, we'll try to figure out how to make him speak with a Chinese accent. I think this European/French accent looks a little funny. All right, that seems to be the end of the super notes. Let me see if people have questions for me. All right. Okay, from Boyka, China. Lovely, Lei. Thank you. Thank you for the flower. Okay, let's see. NTN Lei, do you think Elon actually believes CCP's official numbers and propaganda, or does he have to agree with CCP against his will because he's trapped or elite captured by them? I don't think, from judging by his expression and physical body language, I don't think he believes the CCP at all. I think he just has to say these words so that he doesn't get himself into trouble, because he relies on his Shanghai gigafactory to produce the cars for exports to other parts of the world, including Europe. Brian Cow. Well, thank you, Brian. Okay, so let's see. China's secret police. The AI video was eerily similar to the Malayan dialogue. Okay, I'm not familiar with that. Maybe the author used that idea. Okay, all right. Nick Furry, can you talk a bit about China involvement in Myanmar's civil wars in northern Myanmar? Hold on, where did that go? Yeah, that's the CCP is behind that. I've read a couple of reports on that. It's very complex. China has feared that it's losing control over that region, so it's very, very complex and dark, shall we say. I'll see if I'll have time to talk about that. Marcus Wilson, I don't think the Biden admin is naive to trust CCP at all. Do you? I agree. I agree with you. But then I also disagree, because I think they can do better. I don't think the Biden administration is trusting the CCP. But I think Biden does need Xi's cooperation right now. I made a video. I made a video on October 25th. I talked about why Xi Jinping and Biden needs each other at this moment. I think that was a very important video because Biden is facing re-election next year, and he understand if China's economy collapse now, it would send a rippling effect around the world. The US economy will be affected seriously. And so he's trying to postpone that till after the election next year. So I mean the way Chinese economy is, it's so wobbly, it could fail at any moment. So that's what Biden wants. He wants Xi Jinping, he wants to prevent that from happening before his re-election. And that's why he's interested in helping him a little bit. Yeah. Is meeting Brian Smith is meeting with the U.S. billionaires a propaganda move for Xi regarding his bad economy at home? Yes, it is propaganda move, and also it's also substantial. He does want them to go back to China and continue investing in China. So it's propaganda and also substantial substance. Moonwalker. Did Gavin Newsom have a meeting with Xi? Yes, he did. Before, a month ago, before she came to California, he went to Beijing to meet with him. I'm more concerned about him becoming president than Biden. Newsom loves the CCP money and will sell out the US for sure. Thoughts? I think we should be. Concerned about that. I share that concern. But will he become the president? I don't think so. I don't know. I hope not. Etsy, do you think it's appropriate for Biden to call Xi a dictator? Why does he do it at the pain of his staff? Well, I can't answer that question. If that's what he thinks, he should tell people what he thinks. At least he speaks his mind. At least he was honest. I think that's good. That's a good thing. If he thinks Xi is a dictator but didn't say it to save face for Xi Jinping, and that's worse. So the fact that he spoke his mind, I think it's good, and I applaud his being truthful to his feelings. Alejandro Sudiro, did you notice the black and white arrow sign that says one way in front of Xi's hotel? Is this also a sign one way? I didn't notice that. Maybe they were just closing the street. They were making the street one way during his stay. They booked the entire hotel, so they could have changed the street to make it one way traffic during the days. Let's see. Angel, do you think that China after Xi Jinping would allow for reform policy guidelines put forth by the US government similar to the 1949 Marshall Plan for Europe? Oh, that depends on who will be in power, right? So it depends on who will be in power after Xi Jinping. So I can't really say that now. I doubt it. I really don't think so. Thomas Waldron, too bad leaders want their own benefit and not the people's. We're not leaks. We're leaks. Yeah, cutting the chives, cutting the leaks. Let's see. All right, that seems to be all. No, I have two more. A Starlay, is there any new information about what happened to the Uyghur community? I have not spent a lot of time following the Uyghur community because they seem to get the most, how to say, there are a lot of Western organizations who speak out for them. If you look at all the dissident groups within China, right, the ones that got the most support in the West are the Uyghurs. If you look at underground Christians, if you look at Falun Gong, if you look at other just random like political dissidents, journalists who are imprisoned, not a lot of people have been speaking up for them. Companies have not sanctioned Chinese product for the groups that I mentioned, but they have for the Uyghurs. So I only have so much time and limited resources, so I tend to focus on topics that others have not addressed. It doesn't mean that I don't think Uyghurs issues are not important. They are important, but there are other issues that people have not addressed at all. So so sometimes when I pick my topic, I take a look at if Western media have already talked about it. If they have, then I don't talk about it because you already know. So that's my take. But it doesn't mean that their situation should be ignored. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't give them our support. Okay. Okay, that seems to be all. Chinese pride. Do you think WEF should be considered a global criminal organization? What's WEF? World what? I don't know what WEF is. Mitsu, I'm deeply concerned about any more expansions of the CCP into India and elsewhere and how they treat indigenous communities. Everyone should be concerned. I just saw a report that there was a report coming out of UK how much money British colleges and higher education institutions have continued to receive money from China that are affiliated with Chinese military. And this is in the past couple of years after the pandemic. This has continued. So it'll be shocking to find out it's happening everywhere. All right, that seems to be all. USA, lovely kitty. Why do you think Trump is so popular in China? Is it true he gave the world leadership to China when he wanted to isolate the country? I don't think Trump is so popular in China. I don't know. What do you mean Trump is so popular in China? Chinese popularity, Chinese popularity could mean several things. It could be the official popularity, right? It could mean people like someone. But if you're popular but I know the CCP does not like Trump. The CCP prefers Biden. The CCP obviously prefers Democrats because they're more on the left and their agenda is similar to the communist ideology, like all the Green Initiative, all these initiatives provides the perfect platform for CCP to push their agenda. So they obviously politically they prefer those on the left. So I don't see why you say Trump is popular in China because I know the CCP doesn't like him. All right. I mean, Donald Trump wanted to close the U.S. in 2020 and giving China space to expand in the world. I don't think so. I think Donald Trump was the first U.S. president who actually he was the one who started the trade war with China. And before that, we were very friendly. So I'm not quite sure about your question. Okay. All right. Okay, that seems to be all. Yes, Brian Smith, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Sumiland. And till next time. All right. I'll see you later.